are Nigerians. When we say Nigerian, those that are indigenous of the country, and people of Nigeria means Nigeria and people living in Nigeria from different parts of the world. We want to appreciate you for joining OSBC Television. Your program is on. That is newspaper review, as we usually bring it to you from Mondays to Friday. We have continued again, and by the grace of God, we are going to continue fulfilling what you want. Even we promise that we are going to give you more than what you want. Because the management of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation will be here in Oshogbo. As we always roll it to you, we have several newspapers, that is national dailies, for your enjoyment this morning. And let me just give you a few of the tips. As we started this yesterday, that Osun State has been dominating the stories worldwide, even not only in Nigeria, worldwide. People know where and what is Osun State in the global world. When it comes to election, people always say Osun State election always dictate, always determine what happens nationally. Therefore, we are pleading to every voter, every people living in Osun State to maintain calm. As we are going to be having it, as I told you, that Osun State story is likely to dominate again today. Let me just tell you a few of the papers we have for your delight. Today we have a business day for your enjoyment, and Blueprint is also present. Likewise, Daily Asset is also around for your enjoyment. Then we have a Leadership Friday for your enjoyment. We have a lot of packages for you in each of the dailies. New Telegraph is also with us there. This day is not absent. Nigerian Tribune, of course, is also part of what you are going to enjoy. Just be calm and sit back, whether you are monitoring it with your television set or you are monitoring it on social media, either on Twitter, on Facebook, on whatever channel where you are monitoring OSBC. Just know that we are going to give you more than what any other station can give you. Let's roll the main point contained in each of the paper before we go into line by line interpretation of what is contained. You are going to see that what affects you is going to be talked about this morning. We have the first one from the business news, having CBN reopens Omo to retail investors for first time in 7 years as election spending threatens inflation. And we move on to another paper where we have Blueprint. The biggest story in Blueprint is that Osunpo Adeleke Oyebamiji, 84-year-old retired principal Yemisi, 12 others vie for the post, that is for governorship. Then Daily Asset, as this one, State Police Bill, Presidential Pardon extend deadline for memoranda. And from Leadership Friday, yes, Friday Leadership, we have Osun Decide. That is the biggest story contained in the paper. Then from the New Telegraph, we have this one, Osun Power Tosu peaks tomorrow as 1.9 million voters elect new governor. And from this day, we have the biggest story, Tinubu to Osun, go out to vote candidate of your choice on Saturday without fear. That is coming from the presidency. He knows that something is happening tomorrow in Osun State. Then from Nigerian Tribune, we have the biggest story saying CSOs, political parties, leaders decry violence, insist on peaceful polls. Yes, now let us look at the rider to each of the papers before we take all the main gist contained in the paper. As we have this one from Business Day, coming from Osun Angu, Osun's voter turnout has fallen in 3 straight years. Violence threatens a fort. We pray for peace to reign. Then from the same paper, we have this one, Now comes final insura list leaves firms out. Okay, then inflation seen casting further to 15.51% in July. Then from we are still operating. Okay, let's move on to another paper. Blueprint is what we have next. What we have in Blueprint, where we have the biggest story saying Oshunpol Adeleke Oyebamiji, 84-year-old retired principal Yemisi, 12 others vie for 1.9 million votes. And from the same paper, we have this one regarding to security. ICPC recovers 24 billion naira from ghost workers, over 900 accounts forfeited. And from the top of the paper, we have this one saying, okay, it's a story. Then let's move on to another area where you are going to enjoy it. Okay, from the same paper, we have this one. Northwest unites against terrorism. 6. Improve welfare for security personnel. As we have the rider, we need more than military action to tackle insecurity. Idris is the one that has the credit of that statement. Then we have from the same paper, Batoas Enugu International Hospitals says we are ready for the world. Then from the same paper, deep offshore incentive will accelerate investment growth. And also flood submerges several houses in Lafia, 7 killed in Plateau mine collapse. Then don't include Benue national ranching policy, Catholic priest tells federal government. And from the bottom of that paper, national policy bill, federal government extends submission of memoranda to August 21. Okay, let's move on to another paper. Daily Asset is the next. Well, we have the biggest story from that one saying State Police Bill Presidential Panel extend deadline for memoranda. And the rider to that story says submission deadline now August 21. And another rider says presidency urges states, chief security officers, experts, legal practitioners to participate. Okay, beside this paper, we have Auto approves 355 million naira need for oil palm research complex. And the other one, Plateau establishes humanitarian affairs ministry. And underneath, Nasarawa provides land structures for new army brigade. And Zambia, coming from foreign, Zambians vote as president billed for second term. And we are still operating within the paper also. We are on the bottom. Okay, let's look at this one on on crime. Police rescue stolen newborn baby. Arrest 11 suspects in Benue State. Okay, we move on to another paper. What is the next paper? Is Leadership Friday. Yes, Leadership Friday. I have as the biggest story on Oshun saying Oshun decides. Then having the rider, all you need to know about tomorrow's pool. They have a lot of things for your enjoyment today, analytical research work. Then let me just give you a few. 7 minors before I go to the analysis of Oshun election or Oshun politics. 7 minors killed as pit collapses in Plateau village. Then also, Catholic priests reject federal government ranching plan for Benue. Then let us now take the analysis that is contained in Leadership Friday leadership today. As I told you that the biggest story is Oshun Decide. Then and the writer say all you need to know about tomorrow's pool. Let me just give you They are little because they are very, very many here. Also, decide 2026. We have registered voters are 2,339,233. That is those who registered in Osun. Then polling units we have in Osun are 3,763. And the local government contained in Osun, according to the paper, is there are 30 local governments in Osun here, confirmed to the national level. Then PVC is collected for election. There are 1.9 million PVC have been collected. They are with people waiting for the election tomorrow. And about security, the number of civil defense personnel in Osun right now, they are 10,210. Yes, 10,210 NCDC were deployed to Osun for tomorrow's occasion. Then the police officer deployed to Osun, there are 15,000 policemen. Therefore, we are good to go tomorrow by the grace of God. Then there are many things contained in this one. Then top 5 vote banks. Okay, there are Osogbo has 167,704 number of registered voters. That is in Osogbo. Ife East has 128,515 number of registered voters. Likewise, Oloruda local government has 123,063 number of registered voters. And Ife Central is also very big, has 122,454 number of registered voters. Likewise, Iwo is also big. They are the five biggest in the state out of the local government in Osun State. Iwo has 106,814 registered voters. Those are the little analysis that is researched by the leadership on Friday today. And we move on to another one. Why the election matters. Bellwether for 2027 grudge merge. Major test for INEC. And beside the paper, we have some beautiful stories that are contained in it, but because we don't have, the parties, the paper did a very good work. The full list of parties that are going to be involved tomorrow are this. Okay, the first one is their symbol. We have their logo and their acronym beside it. The first one is A, and the second one is AA. Then the third one is AAC. You won't see any name of the candidate. You just see their symbol and the acronym of their party. We have the next one: ADC, ADP, APC, ABGA, APM, APP, BP, NNNP, PRP, YPP, ZLP, and the last one, SDP. Those are the parties. Those are the parties that are contesting in tomorrow's election. Therefore, that is the likelihood of what you are going to see on your paper. That is voting paper. Then we move on to New Telegraph this morning. New Telegraph is also joins other paper to take the biggest story from Osun. Osun Power Tussle peaks tomorrow as 1.9 million voters elect new governor. Then the rider to that one is saying Adeleke, Oyebamiji, others battle for control of government house amid realignment. Then also Tinubu assures voters of adequate security. Election crucial test for INEC ahead of 2027. Yaga Africa says that. And likewise, Adeleke protests alleged presence of Ebonyi wreck in Osogbo. Rising tension targeted as suppressing vote turnout. Alimi made a statement. Then beside the paper, we have by the side, that is our right side, we have Catholic priests oppose federal government ranching plan for Benue. Says ancestral homes, not bargaining chips. Likewise, GIMP Nigeria urges restraint over Jingi's remarks, warns against religious tension. And below it we have 1985 coup. I found it difficult to believe, but I had no choice. IBB made that statement. Then says the law had to take its course on Vasa. Then insists civilians have hands in coup. Then below the paper we have this beautiful story saying fresh diplomatic face-off looms as SA demands $18.5 million for deporting Nigerians, others. And the writer of that one, we are yet to receive any such request. Federal government made that claim. Then we move on to this day. On this day today, we have this one from Osun also, touching the presidency. Tinubu to Osun, go out to vote candidates of your choice on Saturday without fear. That is the statement credited to presidency, particularly President Tinubu saying that. Then the rider is, there are very many, then part of it says, no vote will be no voter will be molested at polling booths, urges electorate to conduct themselves well. Then Oyebamiji pledges inclusive governance. Likewise, Adeleke condemns Esauke killing, orders heavy security deployment, cautions against incitement. The IGP bars state established security outfit, and likewise others from participating in election. Therefore, then Borno enjoins voters to return APC to mainstream in state as Sanwo-Olu drums of support for APC candidate. Then we move on to another one where we have the Nigerian Tribune. What we have on Nigerian Tribune says chief security officers, that's CSOs, political parties leaders decry violence, insist on peaceful poll. Then we have a smaller story backing it, say killing, vote buying, unwarranted components of election. Likewise, we demand a legal basis for military deployment to INEC office. Okay, then CISLACTIN coordinator made a statement. Osun mustn't become theater of security intimidation. CNG says that fear of federal might. Election related violence real. CDD says that crisis on President women in politics made that a statement. Let's move on to another part of Nigerian Tribune where we have some other beautiful story. APC mega rally, Apabio governors Akande, Omishori, others rally support for Oyebamiji. Then means information unfair reportage capable of undermining electoral integrity. Ondurek or your CP, others warned. Then SEC orders fresh asset freeze over terrorism financing, names 9 more suspects. The Makinde PM presidential candidate picks former DSA DG Daura as a running mate. Okay, I think we have done justice to some of the papers we have this morning. I believe that you really enjoyed it. If you really enjoyed that, is of course the news and current affairs of Osun State Broadcasting Corporation under the leadership of the director, of news and current affairs, Motorayo Ayigbayo, and the producer of this program is Oluwatoyin Yusuf. On behalf of the entire crew for this production, I'm yours, Adebisi Abijele Aderotimi, saying bye for now.